And a good Monday to everybody out there. It is the third day of December 2018, the day before, the day before, the day before, the day before, the day before the weekend. Thanks for starting your week and your month with us here on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley and the NCW Live channel. Last time we saw each other, it was November. Well, November's now in our rearview mirror, and we've made it to the final month of 2018. Dan Kuntz, your host. Busy show for you today. A lot of news to get to, lots of sports to get to. If you're a fan of the Wenatchee Wild, great weekend. If you like the Seahawks, great weekend. Huskies are the champions of the Pac-12. Cougars are going bowling. Lots of sports to get to. The obscure holiday, birthdays, today in history. Also, we're going to replay, because this is a ginormously important meeting. The Chelan County PUD Board of Commissioners are getting together at 9:30 this morning, and pretty much all day. They got a lot of business to take care of. And last week, Dennis Bowles, who is the chairman, the president of the Chelan County PUD Board of Commissioners, joined us alongside Dan Frazier, the Shared Services Director. We're going to replay that interview, that very important conversation with those two gentlemen, coming up in the back half of the show. It is chilly out there, and if you park outside, if you don't have a garage or a carport, quick heads up, you will be scraping your windshield this morning. Pretty thick layer of frost, but all things considered, a very dry and sunny week heading our way, but temperatures are going to go right into the basement by the time we're done with this week. Forecast details are coming up. Let's take you around the valley with our Valley View cameras, courtesy of Localtel's Sky-Fi high-speed wireless. The cross camera pulled back, tilted up a little bit. You see the high clouds. They're going to be hanging around. A little clouds, some frozen fog here and there. Patchy freezing fog, I guess, is the best way to put it. It'll burn off. We'll have sunshine and a high of about 37, and 37 is going to be about as warm as we're going to get for the foreseeable future. Yesterday's high, by the way, Sunday, 43 degrees. Normally we're at 36 for this time of the year. So the last day that we had an afternoon high at or below normal was the day after Thanksgiving. We have been in a very warm stretch of weather, all things considered, of course, all things being equal. And by the way, for the month of November, we only had 0.39 inches of rain. That is well below normal. So November was mild and dry, at least milder and drier than we're used to having anyway. Let's go to camera number 2. Kat is in control. She says, let's go pay a visit. I believe, is that Steins? That's Steins Hill. We turned that around. We usually don't do that, but that's kind of cool. That's a beautiful shot. You can actually see some of the equipment hanging around there at the top of Steins Hill, which is a nice little hike, by the way, very pleasant hike. So you can see that camera is pointed, well, that direction. I guess we can see Kashmir for the most part. Good morning, Steins Hill. That's a good-looking view. We need to do that one more often. Camera 3, Kat says, let's see what's happening in Leavenworth. Yeah, that's the Tumwater Canyon, the Tumwater Canyon camera, I should say. That's just before you start heading through the Tumwater on your way to beautiful Winton and Coles Corner. By the way, I understand they had some sort of a celebration this weekend in Leavenworth, just this past weekend. They were doing something, I can't remember what. I lose track of these things. Good morning, Leavenworth. Thanks for joining us. And finally, camera 4. Where do we see? We see Billy Goat. That is absolutely incredible view of Billy Goat. That's about 7,000 feet in elevation. You can see Brewster pretty much in the middle of your screen. Also, you go a little farther south, you see Pateris, the Methow, as it dumps into the mighty Columbia. Can't see, of course, Bridgeport. It's tucked around the corner there. And you can see, if you squint, you can make out Mount Kalispell, which is spelt with a C, and it's in Canada, which is also, by the way, spelt with a C. Those are our Valley View cameras around north central Washington, featuring little old Wenatchee town and everybody around us. Let's take a look at your forecast from the National Weather Service. Pretty quiet, really. We're in for a rather prolonged period of dry and cool weather. Temperatures are going to dip down big time. We've been above normal, as I mentioned, for quite some time, but the last 10 days or so, that's going to change. And it starts tomorrow. Some patchy freezing fog burns off, sunshine for the most part today. High of 37. Again, that's just about normal for this time of the year. Here's the deal, though. Clear skies at night means chilly afternoon high temperatures. Some patchy freezing fog will form this evening, 26 for the overnight low. Patchy freezing fog on Tuesday, burns off. We get sunshine tomorrow, 35, and then 34, 31, 30, 31. All of these with lots and lots of sunshine, and again, without any clouds at night to hold the heat in. We are in for the coldest stretch of autumn that we've had so far. And remember, it is still autumn. So best word for the forecast for this week, quiet. Really, not a lot going on. Let's take you up to the mountain passes, courtesy of the Washington State Department of Transportation. And we're not ready for that yet, but I will give you the forecast for the mountain passes. Nothing at all. They're not expecting any significant snow. That's a live shot of I-90, by the way. Snoqualmie Pass, no advisories, no restrictions, some poor visibility At times on I-90, you have to drive through a couple of fog banks, but the roadways themselves are fine. Stevens is fine too. No advisories, no restrictions. A couple of patches of frost and ice. That's all you have to deal with. Clear skies up above on Stevens Pass. There is a traction tire advisory on Blewett, though. Blewett, you're dealing with some snow and ice in places, especially up near the summit of Blewett Pass, so they have a traction tire advisory. There is no snow at all in the forecast all this week for the mountain passes. Great news for you commuters who have to drive over the river and through the woods. Bad news for you skiers who would like to throw themselves down the side of a mountain on a skinny pair of fiberglass because it's not looking good. No snow at all, just sunny and clear and chilly temperatures all this week up in the Cascades right now. Blewett, the only traction tire advisory. That'll be taken off the board, my guess is here in the next hour or so, but then things look very quiet up in the mountain passes, just like they will be down here on the valley floor. 6 minutes after the hour, we're going to take a break. When we come back, your Monday morning news. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley live this morning from Studio 7 in downtown Wenatchee on the NCW Live channel.
I came here to CVCH because one of my friends referred me. When I met Dr. Jocelyn, she was just amazing. She connected with my son, and it meant so much to me. He opens up so quickly because she just sits there and plays with him. It really is like going to see a friend. It's really great to walk into somewhere where you feel welcomed and you feel accepted and respected. It just feels like home.
Hey everyone, did you know that the NCW Life channel is North Central Washington's go-to source for news? No matter how you prefer to view your news, NCW Life has you covered. Watch the evening news weeknights on TV, stream it, read it at ncwlife.com, or catch the latest news by following us on Facebook. Stay informed with local news, sports, weather, and shows featuring local people and events. NCW Life, a reflection and a spotlight of the communities we call home.
Mixture of clouds and sun, 28 degrees outside of our studio. Sunshine for the most part today, high of 37. Sunshine all week with some patchy freezing fog forming in the overnight hours. I'm Dan Kuntz. Here's your Monday morning headlines. The cause of the November 25th fruit packing house fire in Orondo has been determined to be a failed fan motor. The Capitol Press reporting Douglas County Fire District 2 officials completed their investigation with agents from the Federal Bureau of Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, and they determined that the blaze at the Pine Canyon Growers Warehouse was caused by one of 3 motors that powers a fan. The fire caused an estimated $12 million in damages. A company official said they hope to be back in operation within a few weeks. An East Wenatchee area family lost all of their belongings in a fire that gutted their home. This happened last Thursday evening. The fire at a duplex, 1332 Clements Circle. The location, Douglas County Fire District 2 Chief Dave Baker said even though fire crews were on the scene quickly, the home was heavily damaged. He said it appears that the fire started from an outdoor barbecue.
We're looking at the barbecue that was out on their deck. The homeowners had been cooking, barbecuing that evening about a half an hour to 45 minutes before they saw the fire out there. And when they saw the fire, it was basically in that area where the barbecue was at. So we don't really know if they had a grease fire going in the barbecue or if they forgot to shut the barbecue off, but it's my impression that it was unintentional and just a bad thing that happened.
A GoFundMe page has been set up to help the family affected by Thursday night's fire. Not only did they lose their home, but they also lost all of the home's contents, including their personal mementos, clothing, the necessities of daily living. They just lost all of their Christmas gifts, as a matter of fact, that they just purchased on Black Friday. A jail staffing shortage has resulted in the suspension of Chelan County Regional Justice Center's inmate work release program. Interim Jail Director William Larson says the program has been put on hold until the staffing issues are addressed. Larson recently closed the low-risk inmate jail annex, which the program was operated from, and relocated the 28 inmates housed there to the main jail. Larson has requested a staffing increase along with other structural changes in next year's budget. It's currently under review by the Chelan County Board of Commissioners. Larson says it's possible the work release program could start up again next spring if the proposal is approved. The price tag for the staffing totals between $1.3 and $1.4 million. Setting power rates for cryptocurrency miners is just one of the big issues on the agenda for the Chelan County PUD Commissioners. They're meeting today. At their headquarters downtown, commissioners are expected to approve property deals that would clear the way for the PUD headquarters and operations to move from downtown Wenatchee to Old Station. Last week on this program, Dan Frazier, the PUD Shared Services Director, told me how the PUD hopes to accomplish this move.
Studied this very deeply, looked at a total of 7 different scenarios over the 3-year period. Stay downtown, stay at Holly Street, redevelop, develop a split campus between a new operations center or everybody relocating out to a new combined consolidated headquarters and operations and service center. And those two, the operations and service center with a downtown campus, small downtown campus, and the consolidated campus really rose to the top as the best long-term financially. So then once you get over the kind of financial hurdle, what are the qualitative things that make a difference? And what we wanted to do, we had a few things we wanted to make sure we were doing. One is the customer experience. We want the customer to come in. Right now, if you want to get a new service, so you're building a house, want to get a new service, you go to one part of our campus. You can't even park out on Wenatchee Avenue, you got to find a place to park. If you want to pay your bill, you're another part of the campus. It didn't work well, and so most agencies have gone to this one-stop shop. So we wanted to have a good customer experience. So right now, we're situated right in the middle of downtown Wenatchee. Over 60% of our truck rolls go north out of that campus to go up the valley, up the river, and service North Wenatchee. And so geographically, Old Station is about the center of our service universe. So that made sense to really locate there. So in the red, outlined in red, is the 3 parcels that we have a tentative agreement with the port to purchase. And so there's the L-shaped parcel there are 2 of the, actually was two remaining parcels in the Old Station development of the port. The one large parcel is commonly referred to as the Haran Block, and then the 1 acre parcel up in the corner is currently used by McDougal as a place to stage trucks as they move into their facility. So those are the 3 parcels we're looking to acquire. We've also, as part of this deal, and it was a very complex deal, but we are leasing that yellow outline building there because we haven't grown, we haven't accommodated growth for several years because we were going through this process. So we have some pent-up growth demand, so we're going to lease that building for the time being. And then the other building there in the green outline is the CTC. So as part of this deal, we would be selling our share of the CTC to the port, which would give them 100% control of that building.
The PUD Commission meeting gets underway at 9:30 this morning at their headquarters in downtown Wenatchee. My complete conversation with Dan Frazier and Dennis Bowles comes up in the back half of this program. Last week, we brought you the news that iconic Leavenworth philanthropist Harriet Bullitt has announced the transfer of her ownership of the Sleeping Lady Resort to the nonprofit Icicle Fund, effective at the end of this year. Bullitt told Coho 101.1 as she turns 95 this year, she wanted to make a plan for the future of the resort.
Well, I have to have a plan because I'm old. I'm going to be 95 this year, and it's time to think of what happens afterwards. Well, Icicle Fund is a strong foundation. I mean, it gives money to all the beneficiaries, and it will, when I make my departure, it will give more to the beneficiaries. I'm proud of everybody who walks up to me on the pathways where I'm working all the time, saying how much they enjoyed staying here. I thank them for their kind words and tell them I'll pass it along. And what they're saying is what a good place it is for them to meet, and how much they enjoy just the atmosphere. I want to leave it so that it could go on growing but not getting bigger. I think it's possible to grow without getting bigger, but we can grow by getting better.
The Icicle Fund is a 501(c)(3). It's a nonprofit that was founded by Bullitt to enhance the health and quality of all life in North Central Washington by encouraging people to get involved with the arts, the history, and natural environment. Finally, we close out this morning's news with retiring Grant County Undersheriff Dave Panonzo signing out of Friday after 36 years in law enforcement. He signed off for the last time on Friday.
GT2 Mac?
GT2.
I am going to break from policy and procedure for just a moment. I want to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of the dispatchers, corrections officers, support staff, and every one of the cops and other first responders who I've had the privilege of working with over the last 36 years. I thank you for always having my back. I am sincerely humbled in being allowed to be a part of your team. Please be good and stay safe. Forward march. And for the last time, GT2 will be 10-7 out of service.
Back to Grant County GT2. Thank you for the past 30 years of law enforcement service to Grant County. We are honored to have been able to work with you and for all the guidance and leadership you provided. You have left the Grant County Sheriff's Office a better place because of your service and dedication. Congratulations, and we wish you all the best in your newest endeavor. All units on Grant County Dispatch, be advised, Under Sheriff Pinozzo out of service for the last time. And as always, and forever, Team Green, be safe. Grant County Pinozzo off duty, 1454. 1454.
Good stuff. Congratulations. Happy retirement to our good friend. It is 16 minutes after the hour. Friendly reminder, the Les Schwab Community Toy Drive is going great guns, but we need your help. Last year, we were able to help 700 kids in the Wenatchee Valley. We're hoping this year to get up to 1,000. All you got to do is when you're out and about, pick up a brand new unwrapped toy and then drop it off at any of our sponsor locations, both Les Schwab locations, Wenatchee and East Wenatchee, the Walkabout Grill, Elements Salon and Spa, Columbia Valley Community Health, the Hot Under Golf Course, Thanks to Motors, Hooked on Toys, the whole 9 yards. And we will get together with our friends and our committee and our volunteers and get them all sorted out and get them off to the kids who need them. If you're not really sure what to buy, what's this year's hot item, if you go to our Facebook page, the Les Schwab Community Toy Drive Facebook page, it's got it all right there so you know what to buy and for what age group. All right, the Les Schwab Community Toy Drive, thanks to you. All right, don't forget about the news with Grant Olson. He comes your way at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. Grant in the anchor chair also handles the weather forecast. Eric Granstrom with sports. What happened on this Monday and over the weekend? We'll let you know. We'll fill your head full of the information you need at 5, 6, and 10 right here on the NCW Life channel. Also available to watch on demand on our website at ncwlife.com and our Facebook page. All right, it's just about 18 minutes after the hour. Going to take a break. When we come back, sports, the obscure holiday, birthdays, today in history. Everyone's entitled to Mike Benatti's opinion and a whole bunch more. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley Monday edition on the NCW Life channel.
This is the NCW Life Community Calendar brought to you by Local-Tel. Kids and families are invited to the Gingerbread House Factory this Sunday at the Local-Tel Event Center at Pybus Public Market. Time slots are 1 to 2 and 2:30 to 3:30. Also Sunday is Handel's Messiah Sing at 6:30 p.m. at the Eastmont Baptist Church. This free collaborative musical experience will raise funds to support families struggle to stay in their homes. For more information, visit ncwlife.com.
When our customers come to senior insurance, again, we're thinking more about the whole experience, and that's why I took a lot of time to design a space like this, where we teach people about Medicare. We don't sell insurance, we teach you how to buy insurance, because buying is something you do, and I want folks to be a part of this. So as they're heading out, I hope they feel like they've been educated, they're now in a suitable fit, and I hope they also had a good laugh and a good time.
And we're back at it 19 minutes after the hour on this Monday. Let's do sports. It was our very first broadcast of the winter sports season. It happened Friday night at Eastmont High School. Wildcats hosting the Cashmere Boys in non-league action. The visitors led by as many as 14 points in the first half, but Eastmont came all the way back for the 77-72 victory behind the 23 points of Isaac Wellborn and 20 points from Trey Haberlock. By the way, high scorer for the game, Cashmere sophomore Mason Landeck. He had 24 points, including 5 3-pointers. To the highlights we go. Enjoy.
Wing player. And we're underway. The tip is handled by Eastmont, and down the court quickly they feed the ball as it comes outside for a 3-pointer and splashdown. Good for Isaac Wellborn, and we are underway. Kind of in no man's land. Sam Dotson got caught down low. Here's a 3-pointer on the way. Good, look out. Mason Landeck with his second tray of the ball game. It's a 7-6 contest for Mason Landeck. He gets 2. That's 5 in the quarter, 17 of the ball game. Here's the 3-pointer on the way. Good. Lane Keller off the bench says, yeah, I'll shoot this. 31-25. Here's another three, back the other way. Good, look out. Mason Landag, splash down. Hands it off to Phillips in the drive. Kick it in the corner for a three-pointer. Good. Goodness, Kai Schoenig, who does not shoot three-pointers for this Kashmir team. Goodness gracious. Bounce pass down low, turn around, no wasting time on that shot. The ball rebound, tipped outside of the miss, picked up by Kashmir. In the quarter, Sam Phillips for three, it's good. Down to a 7-point differential. Here's another three on the way, no good. Kashmir's gone cold here as Landeck can't find the range. Defensive rebound, they'll flip it ahead, cross court to Wellborn. He'll try the three again. This time it rattles home for Isaac Wellborn. Outlet to Phillips, 10 seconds left. Feet ahead and the layup, no good. Rebound, Eastmont, 5 seconds, Tanner Nelson with the dunk, and we're tied at 56, and that'll be the end of the third quarter. Trey, up the far side, driving, layup, good, and foul. Haberlock has just caught fire here in the second half. He's got 15 in the ball game, and 10 of that here in the second half. Second free throw, no good. Rebound by Kashmir. Launch at the end of the buzzer will not fall. 77-72 is the final.
Right after halftime, you know, you got to go hard. I know we were all like wanting to win, so we just came out like a lot of intensity, and yeah, we won.
So Tanner Nelson gets the jam at the end of the third to tie it up at 56. How much do you guys feed off of something like that?
Oh, a lot. Dunks are, dang. I mean, you heard the crowd, they were crazy.
Very exciting contest. We're glad you watched it here on this very television station. Also on Friday, to the Les Schwab Prep Scoreboard we go. Wenatchee edged Chiawana Friday. Natchez Valley clobbered Cascade. Brewster no trouble with the Shockers. Girls basketball on Friday. Again, the Les Schwab Prep Scoreboard. Brewster beating Waterville Mansfield, and Natchez Valley nicked Cascade. The Les Schwab Scoreboard from Saturday. Again, boys basketball. Panthers won for the second consecutive night, traveled down to Southridge, beat the Suns. Chelan mauled Granger, Lake Roosevelt over Manson. Waterville Mansfield traveled to Republic and got the victory there. Girls side on Saturday, there are your scores. Eastmont traveled to the west side, beat Bothell. Wenatchee lost at Southridge, as you see there, 55-53. Kashmir cruising past King. Chelan got the better of Granger. Aniat past Columbia. Lake Roosevelt mopped up Manson, and Waterville Mansfield repelled Republic. The prep football season is done for the year. Your 2B champions are Kalama. Eastside Catholic claimed the 3A crown. They dismantled O'Day on Saturday. Colville defeated Newport for the 1A title. Hawkinson outlasting Linden for the 2A title. Odessa all over Elmira Cooley Heartline for the 1B championship. And Union laid a lecking on Lake Stevens in the big schools. The 4A, they won 52-20. Here's what we have on tap this week. The sports schedule begins with our first wrestling broadcast tomorrow. We'll be at the Wenatchee High School Gymnasium. Davis Pirates in town. We'll get there and set up, and we'll be televising at 7 o'clock. Thursday night is hockey night. Friday, we got girls basketball. Wenatchee Panthers hosting Ferris. And then, in case you missed Friday's Eastmont versus Kashmir game, we had a number of people say, when are we going to re-air it? Well, we're going to re-air it Saturday, as you can see there, and then Sunday, more hockey. Speaking of the Wenatchee Wild, their winning streak is now at 6 games. Over the weekend, on Friday, they had, who didn't score? 8 different players scored 8 different goals. They beat the Silverbacks from Salmon Arm. The final was 8-3. Saturday was another story altogether. Chad Sasaki scored a couple of early goals. Brandon Cook scored as well. Wenatchee had an early 3-1 lead. Vernon came all the way back to take the lead. And then, well, we'll let you find out for yourself. Let's go to Saturday's highlights. Arch Ecker with the call of the Wenatchee Wild Hockey Network. Video courtesy of Hockey TV.
Connor Merritt is there. Dishes it back to Kowalski. Centering feed, shot, score. Svetlikov tucks it home. He was left alone on the doorstep. He was standing literally in the crease, and he had a couple of good shoves at it. Fillion in, shot, just sent it low and wide blocker side. It eludes Gashevsky. It's going to come out to center. Dorsey's going to handle it. Dorsey comes in, cuts to his left. Backhander, he scores! Oh my! Matt Dorsey stole it away and came in alone. It was a 1-on-4. On the near side, here's Stratton gaining the zone. Tellier drives the net, centering feed, shot, score! Christophe Tellier. Cook presses it into the corner, 23 seconds left. Puck squirts out, shoveled across Anders. His shot, save made, rebound. Pushed across for Latta. Backhander turned aside into the corner. Swung around and missed the point as Judson wasn't there in time. That one rolls all the way down to the far end of the ice. Judson comes back to play at 5 seconds left. He cranks, sends a long shot ahead. Merritt works it across. A blast at the horn. Rolls wide, and the game comes to an end.
Good weekend for the local hockey team. In fact, those 6 wins in a row has propelled them into tie for second place with Merritt in the Interior Division. They're just 3 points behind Penticton. Penticton in town this weekend. Don't forget Pink at the Rink. The game will be on the 7th, but today between 5 and 6:30 at the Town Toyota Center is when they're actually painting the ice. So if you want to participate in Pink at the Rink, you can do so this afternoon and tonight at the Town Toyota Center. The Washington Huskies are going to the Rose Bowl for the first time since 2001, and the Cougars are heading to the Alamo Bowl. Of course, the Huskies won the Pac-12 championship, knocking off Utah Friday night in Santa Clara. Number 9 Washington will take on number 6 Ohio State. Washington State will go to the Alamo Dome in San Antonio to take on Iowa State. By the way, Eastern Washington advanced to the quarterfinals of the FCS playoffs. They beat Nichols on Saturday 42-41. They have UC Davis this Saturday in Cheney for a shot at the semifinals. And how about Mr. Bobby Wagner? A record 98-yard interception return for a touchdown by Bobby Wagner. Russell Wilson had an excellent game, 4 touchdown passes. Seahawks stopping San Francisco at CenturyLink Field 43-16. Wilson finished the day 11 for 17, 185 yards, 4 scores, 2 of which were, by the way, to Jaron Brown, Chris Carson, and Rashad Penny. They combined for, Rahad Penny, I should say, 134 rushing yards. Coach Pete Carroll, real happy with the play of his all-pro middle linebacker.
You can't talk about this game unless you talk about Bobby Wagner. He's had a phenomenal game. I mean, there's not many more things a guy can do. He had 10 tackles. He took the ball away from him on a fumble. He had a sack, had an interception for a touchdown, all-time ever longest play in the history of the franchise, and just did another marvelous job of taking care of all the leadership stuff that he does too. So there's a lot of fun plays in this game. We gave up a lot of yards, but taking away the ball gave them, extra chances and stuff like that, so I don't worry about that so much. But we didn't tackle as well as we need to. We did miss some tackles, and some other guys did a nice job running in the open field. But it's a really good ball game for us. And glad to be at home. I'm glad to be playing in front of the 12s. It's a great feeling to be able to represent and play like that. And with another big one coming up, on Monday. So good day.
Bobby Wagner, for his part, says it's the first time in his entire pro football career he intercepted a pass and ran it back for a touchdown.
Yeah, it was a crazy run. I was super tired. I was trying to figure out which celebration I can catch my breath on, and I figured what better celebration but to go to sleep. So.
What did you see on that play?
I kind of watched on film that when they kind of had 2-by-2 or whatever, if he didn't have anything, he was going to try to throw it to the back. So I was trying to make it look like I didn't see the back, and then he, went and threw it to the back or threw it to the guy over the middle, and I just broke on it, caught it, and then, try to score. Make sure I didn't get caught by the quarterback, because I would never hear the end of that for the rest of the year.
Seahawks host the Vikings a week from tonight, Monday Night Football on ESPN. And those are just some of the games that people are playing on this Monday. It's time for the obscure holiday. Today is Make a Gift Day. You don't necessarily have to go out and buy a gift. Make a gift. Take out the glitter and the yarn and the glue and whatever. Make a gift day today. It's an easy way to celebrate. Make a handmade gift for somebody. It's really the way to go in many respects, especially if you have a talent to make handmade gifts. I don't, of course. If I don't have a DIY skill, and I don't, I have somebody else do it for me and pretend that I made it myself. Make handmade gifts for those special people. They're, in many respects, considerably cooler than something you can just buy at the store. Make a gift day. Today is December 3rd, today in history. Happy birthday, Illinois! The land of Lincoln, Illinois is 200 years old today. Yeah, they're having big parties in Illinois. December 3rd, 1818, 200 years ago today, Illinois became the 21st state of the Union. Is, of course, known as the land of Lincoln. Illinois was the first state to ratify the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, which abolished slavery. And Illinois generates more nuclear power than any other state. It's about all I could get for you. Happy birthday, Illinois. December 3rd, 1979, 39 years ago today, at a Who concert at the Riverfront Coliseum in Cincinnati, Ohio. The Who went out for a late sound check. It was festival seating. There were a lot of people crammed up against the doors. They heard the band start to play. They thought the concert started. There was a massive crush, and 11 fans were crushed to death, suffocated at a Who concert on this date, December 3rd, 1979. I remember it well, 39 years ago today. And 19 years ago today, the Mars Polar Lander, now remember, just last week they had a great day. They didn't have such a great day on this date 19 years ago. They lost contact with the Mars Polar Lander. That was an artist's rendition of what it should have looked like had it safely made it to the moon. They figured that the air brakes didn't work and it crashed, and all that many, many millions of dollars lost. It's not easy to land an object on Mars. We learned that, didn't we? And finally, we got one birthday for you today. One birthday for you. John Michael Osborne. Ozzy Osbourne is 70. 70. Somebody needs to tell him. Happy birthday, Ozzy. 31 minutes after the air, everybody's entitled to Mike McNally's opinion. And then my interview with Dennis Bowles and Dan Frazier from the Chelan County PUD. Coming up, you're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
What's your Automocha emergency?
It's a Frappuccino mocha with whip.
The espresso shakes are my most favorite because I can get any flavor. Peanut butter chocolate Frappuccino.
Definitely the espresso shakes.
My favorite is the mocha Frappitas.
A peach Red Bull.
Bob's Burgers and Brew in Wenatchee. Only the best.
Hey, this is Mike Mad Dog Magnati, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. Now, I don't care how many movies, remakes, or sequels are done. There are some things that just are inviolate as far as I'm concerned. Now, Sean Connery is James Bond, okay? Not some other two-bit poser actor. I don't care who they stick in that job. Sean Connery is James Bond. And something else, Harrison Ford is Jack Ryan, not that Baldwin guy or some other make-believe character. And here's the one that really kills me. Basil Rathbone is Sherlock Holmes. Now, I know Rathbone is dead, but isn't it better to preserve the integrity of the character than trying to put some other two-bit actor, some other person in a role that belongs to Basil Rathbone alone? Now this, to me, is the worst part of the capitalist system. Trying to milk additional money out of fictional characters when the original actors who created the roles in the first place are no longer available. Just give it up. I mean, sheesh. Let's have some respect. This is Mike Mad Dog Magnati, and that's my opinion.
And welcome back to Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. I am Dan Kuntz. Monday, December 3rd is a big day around the Chelan County PUD. There's a lot on the agenda. It's going to be a monster bunch of meetings. They got budgets, they got Bitcoin mining, they got all kinds of things on the agenda. A lot of decisions are going to be made on Monday, December 3rd. And here to talk about that, to my far left, is the president of the Chelan County Board of Commissioners for this term, my good friend Dennis Bowles. And to my immediate left, Dan Frazier, the Shared Services Director. What does that mean, Dan? Come to think of it.
I actually oversee a lot of our internal services. So real estate is one of them, obviously, facilities, fleet, those kind of services.
Okay. So now I know. There you go.
Well, now I know, too.
Dennis, let's start with you. First of all, congratulations on another 6-year term. Dennis was recently reelected without any opposition. No surprise there. From the day that you ran for this job all those years ago, your #1 campaign was pay down the debt, pay down the debt, pay down the debt. That was a big thing with you, Dennis. And from the numbers that I see here, you're working in the right direction.
Yeah. It was kind of one of those, I have a 4-year commitment. And so this is my 4th election. And in that first one, you know, we were at $1.06 billion in debt. And so the commitment was to pay that down. And so about halfway through my first year, a couple of engineers walk in one day and say, hey, a couple of our turbines at Chelan, and we have 2, are both starting to wobble. Wobble and engineers are not compatible terms. And so we had to vote to increase the debt just after campaigning on that I would never do that, which was one of my early lessons about being a commissioner. But we have been really steadfast in paying that down, and we paid down well over $550 million of that debt. Our goal is to get to 35% or less debt ratio to our base equity, and we've exceeded that. We've exceeded that goal 1 year early. We're slated in this year's coming budget, 2019, to pay down another $41 million. And what we've done is we've paid down everything that we can pay down that doesn't have a penalty. So anything that we would pay ahead now would actually cost us money to pay it down. So we're going to follow that debt retirement schedule, and bring this down to a level where it makes sense to carry some debt on our books, but yet utilize our cash in a very productive way. So things have been good. We do have cash, and we're committed to rebuilding a lot of our infrastructure, particularly in the dams, and utilizing cash to do that rather than loans. But there may be a point where that crosses over. And with interest rates where they are, sometimes it's, if it's a better deal to finance, we'll finance. If it's not, we probably won't.
The budget is a very small increase. For you ratepayers out there, you're not going to have any rate increase at all if you're just Joe Sixpack. It's a good-looking budget. 72 last year, 78 million this year. Does the Chelan County PUD work on a baseline budget process? In other words, this is the budget that each department gets, and this is the same you got last year, and if you want to spend more money, you got to justify it to us? Or?
Well, we don't operate quite that way. Each department creates, during the year, business plans. And with those business plans, then there are budget requests that are made, and then those are compilated, and we take a look at the overall structure of those requests, and where are the priorities, and then how it's going to be laid out. So it's kind of pretty much a fresh process every year because the needs change. And I think if you get into that business cycle where you're just kind of rolling over your requests, then you end up like I did as a school principal sometimes. You take over a building and you find an art room full of acrylic paint, $35,000 worth of acrylic paint, and you use about $1,000 worth in a year. So you don't want to necessarily do that. But yet on the other hand, we will have some areas, as an example this year, with our reinvestment at Rock Island in terms of rebuilding structures there, where some of the money will carry over because of some scheduling issues have not allowed us to complete work. So what are we going to do next year, and then what are we going to carry over at that same time? So there's a process in there that recognizes that. The other thing that we don't do is we don't say that we're carrying that money over and look what a great job we're doing with our budget, because that creates then a false budget. Yeah. So we acknowledge the fact that there are carryover dollars paired with new dollars that create a budget, but it doesn't create that illusion. So we want the budget to be real.
And as a taxpayer, I'm all for that. As a customer owner of the Chelan County PUD, I'm all for that. 5 years ago, nobody saw Bitcoin coming. Nobody saw it coming. And here we live in this beautiful area that's not only geographically beautiful, but of course we have this incredibly cheap hydropower. And here they came. The Bitcoiners came because their machines take up an incredible amount of electricity. And here we go with all this electricity. And now this whole new set of circumstances were dumped on your lap. And come Monday, after the moratorium has been on since what, March? Is that is it March?
Well, I'd have to say which March.
Yeah, which March?
Because we've had multiple moratoriums over the last several years as we've been trying to work toward some kind of equitable solution on this issue.
Well, I read this. I have it's 31 pages. It's I think I got most of it here. I didn't print the whole thing up. It's 31 pages. It's the recommendations from your experts on what you're going to talk about on Monday. I read it. It gave me a bit of a headache for one thing, but it also gave me a pretty good insight on what you're dealing with. Mm-hmm. What's going to happen on Monday, Dennis? Can you give us a preview of what to expect?
Yeah, I think several things are going to occur. We will probably take a look at voting on the base rates for Bitcoin mining. I think that's going to take place on Monday, unless Commission decides we need more time to take a look at that. But I think pretty much everything we need to know, at least to make the decision at this point, is relevant and is before us. The commitment we are making, for sure, is that we are really hopeful that we have this about as tight as we can get it in terms of making a decision, knowing full well that very few, if anyone, has gone down this pathway before. So we don't know what we've built in yet in terms of perhaps some errors. And we're amenable, as this thing plays out over time, to take a look at that, the structure of the rates and make adjustments to create the equity and fairness that we hope that we're building into it. So it's a done, it'll be a done deal if that's the vote. But yet at the same time, it's open on that other end to keep eyes open and continue to work at making this the best that we can. And when I say that we're on the leading edge, it's just really been interesting to be a part of a small utility, and then you find yourself or your staff interviewing with Wall Street Journal, New York Times, Politico. I just did a 2-hour interview the other day with the Financial Times, a reporter from Japan, regional press, national press, which is not anything that we ever look forward to or had built into our design. But it also, I guess, just emphasizes that how important this is as a national issue. And when people are not finding exactly the price that they're wanting, they're now branching out and looking at other places. So kind of what Chelan County PUD and Grant and Douglas are doing are paving the way for other, 3,000 other public utilities around the United States. And so being the lead dog isn't necessarily all that it's cracked up to be, but I think our staff and certainly our management and the leadership under Steve Wright have done, I think, about as careful and considerate of an approach to this as you possibly can. They've been great.
What do you hear from the Bitcoin miners themselves? I mean, they've been saying, Dennis, I know you need a rate. We understand it. We know we need to have a box that we work out of. But if you do this to us, we're just going to say, to heck with it. We're going to just go out to Grant County and Douglas County and just say, see ya.
Yeah, some people take that approach, and others don't. Some of the larger ones, in particular, have said, can you just give us a box to play in? Share with us what it is you think we ought to pay, and we'll determine in terms of our business plans what we can do to make that feasible and operational. Others have said, listen, we know our market is volatile, but
to say the least.
To say the least. Yeah, because like I said, last night I looked and it's $3,902 last night for Bitcoin. In January, February, it was up around 20,000. So that's a huge variable in less than a year. So they know that they can't stabilize that end of it, but they would like us to stabilize at a very cheap rate the cost involved, and the biggest cost involved is the energy cost. And so that would actually then, if we did that as the review would like us to, that would cause us then to have to socialize those additional rates across the other 48,000 base meters in Chelan County. And as I shared earlier with you, no one has walked up to me in a grocery store aisle and said, hey, Dennis, can you increase my rates so the Bitcoin miner has a stabilized, market that they can play in on the energy cost? And so that's never been a conversation yet. And so but still, those are people of Chelan County. Those are our customers who are in the Bitcoin mining. How do we try and then create something that may be feasible for them with no guarantee that it would be, because we can't control the market, and yet be fair to the other 48,000 ratepayers who are saying, we're not interested in subsidizing. So it's been that balance, and as a commissioner, you represent both, and you listen to both, and then staff, like I say, have been great in terms of trying to find where that is. So there are about 3 major components to this. One is that when you set up Bitcoin mining, it's a different electrical operation, a different usage. And so the structure of delivering electricity to that site has to be done differently. And to create safety, it's a more expensive process. And because those systems run at a high rate and 24/7, 365 days a year, they cannibalize the system. They wear the system out faster. So first of all, you've got an upfront expense to create the safety, and then you have ongoing expenses that are going to lead you to a higher repair service because they wear out sooner. And so who pays for that? And again, it comes back to the person using it. Our philosophy is ought to be paying for it. So the upfront cost and the ongoing cost are going to be higher, just simply because of the usage and the way it's used. Also, in the spring, if this goes into effect, because they use a high load, which impacts our ability to sell electricity elsewhere, the high density load rate structure will come into play, which is going to cost them a little bit more. And then a year from spring, we will go into a variable rate. And the variable rate will be market based. Right now, if there's a when we go in May, or April, excuse me, when we go in April, the cost of the electricity will be a fixed rate, and we're willing to bear that for a year to kind of see where this thing shakes out. But a year from now, in April, we'll be looking at a variable rate. So if we can get energy cheaply off the market, that'll get passed on to the Bitcoiner. If it's higher, that'll get passed on to the Bitcoiner. So they bear that fluctuation in the market rather than the other, like I say, 48,000 ratepayers. So it's trying to find that balance. And some people accuse us of being biased one direction or the other. And ultimately, I think, at least for this commissioner, at some point you reach the philosophy that you're agnostic. What you do on your side of the meter is pretty much up to you, unless it affects the other ratepayers. And so for you to be involved in Bitcoin mining, whether some people think that's moral or immoral or all the other arguments that have come up, it's kind of an agnostic approach, but yet we're looking at the fairness and equity associated with both sides, no pun intended, of that coin.
I do not envy the vote on Monday. It's going to be one of the biggest votes I think you've ever had to take, hasn't it?
It's a significant one.
I don't want to dig in hyperbole, but it's big.
It is.
It's big. It's big.
It is.
Speaking of big, they need more room at the Chelan County PUD, and that's where Dan Frazier steps into our conversation. Thanks for not nodding off there, Dan, during Dennis's soliloquy there. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, a possible new home for the Chelan County PUD out in the old station area. We'll talk about that when we come back. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Live channel.
Hi, Justin here, owner of Club Crow Bar and Grill in Cashmere. Club Crow is your place for famous blues, brews, and barbecue. We are your one-stop bar and grill, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week. Looking for a fun night out? Join us at Club Crow Saturday nights. We have live bands to rock the night away. Club Crow is bringing comedy to Cashmere. Check out our Facebook page for upcoming dates. Live jam session first Sunday of every month. Club Crow Bar and Grill in Cashmere, the coolest place in town.
And we are back on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Dan Kuntz alongside Dennis Bowles and Dan Frazier from the Chelan County PUD. We talked about how Bitcoin kind of came out of nowhere and dropped in everybody's lap. That's not the case with the actual size of the campus of the Chelan County PUD. The Chelan County itself is a big county. They got offices all over the place, with their offices downtown and all kinds of satellite offices. Is it particularly good for the owners and of the taxpayer owners of the Chelan County PUD? Not necessarily. They've needed more room for quite some time, and that problem looks like it's going to be addressed, and here to address that problem is Dan Frazier. Walk me through the process. It's been a while, but people have been saying for quite some time, how can the Chelan County PUD have such a small little campus in downtown Wenatchee and yet still do all that they do? Well, things are going to change, it looks like?
Well, we're hoping to. We've spent about 3 years looking at our strategic facilities plan, we're calling it. It was initially a look of what's it going to take just to maintain what we've got. We knew it wasn't the best set up geographically. We're split all over especially our Wenatchee operations are split quite a bit. So we looked into what's it going to take just to maintain what we have, and the number was staggering. And so the commission said, you know, is there a better way to spend the money? So about 3 years ago, we engaged services of a firm that does this kind of strategic planning, and it was a large effort between lots of staff involved, looking at how we've grown over the years, and that's a lot of aha moments through a process like this. And we've grown organically. Who could have said 60 years ago that we were going to have water and wastewater, fiber, all those things that make Chelan County PUD what we are today? Well, we've done it by organic growth. We've bought a piece of property here. We bought Holly Street. We've developed that into, actually that's a larger campus than the 5th and Wenatchee Avenue campus.
People don't
now.
notice it because they drive right by and it's kind of tucked behind there.
Yeah, and so what we've done is just try to stay within what we could do, but this time we stepped back. Kind of anecdotally, we said if a roof leaks, we fix it. If it leaks bad, we replace it. But we never asked, is the building in the right place? Is the building providing the service we want it to do? So we challenged that concept of facilities as part of a strategic implementation across the county and our deployment. And what we found is buildings do make a difference. Where you're located, where your materials and your people and your equipment and your vehicles, that makes a difference. And so we study this, and as you know, we do a lot of financial planning, and we study this very deeply, looked at a total of 7 different scenarios over the 3-year period. Stay downtown, stay at Holly Street, redevelop, develop a split campus between a new operations center or everybody relocating out to a new combined consolidated headquarters and operations and service center. And those two, the operations and service center with a downtown campus, small downtown campus, and the consolidated campus really rose to the top as the best long-term financially. So then once you get over the kind of financial hurdle, what are the qualitative things that make a difference? And what we wanted to do, we had a few things we wanted to make sure we were doing. One is the customer experience. We want the customer to come in. Right now, if you want to get a new service, so you're building a house, want to get a new service, you go to one part of our campus. You can't even park out on Wenatchee Avenue, you got to find a place to park. If you want to pay your bill, you're another part of the campus. It didn't work well, and so most agencies have gone to this one-stop shop. So we wanted to have a good customer experience. One of the things we really highlight a lot is our energy conservation. So we want to have a place for people to come in and say, what can I do with my heat pump? What can I do with my lighting? Right now, it's in the lobby. We have a heat pump sitting in the lobby. It just doesn't work. So that was big. The other one is our providing customer service out to our customers. So right now, we're situated right in the middle of downtown Wenatchee. Over 60% of our truck rolls go north out of that campus to go up the valley, up the river, and service North Wenatchee. And so geographically, Old Station is about the center of our service universe. So that made sense to really locate there.
And luckily, Old Station is about the last big piece of property that is flat and is instantly buildable and interchanges with the highways to get you going and make everything's more efficient. And it kind of fell in your lap in a very good way, didn't it?
Well, we've been eyeballing parcels for quite a while, and it really did come down to that is the perfect location for us. Connectivity is great, transportation connectivity. It's the center of our service area, and it's flat relatively, and so that's really important to us. So we've been working with the Port of Chelan County for over the last year, talking about how can we make this work.
Let's throw up that. Tell the folks at home what they're looking at, my friend.
So in the red, outlined in red, is the 3 parcels that we have a tentative agreement with the Port to purchase. And so there's the L-shaped parcel there are two of the, actually was two remaining parcels in the Old Station development of the Port. The one large parcel is commonly referred to as the Haran Block, and then the 1 acre parcel up in the corner is currently used by McDougall as a place to stage trucks as they move into their facility. So those are the 3 parcels we're looking to acquire. We've also, as part of this deal, and it was a very complex deal, but we are leasing that yellow outline building there because we haven't grown, we haven't accommodated growth for several years because we were going through this process. So we have some pent-up growth demand, so we're going to lease that building for the time being. And then the other building there in the green outline is the CTC. So as part of this deal, we would be selling our share of the CTC to the Port, which would give them 100% control of that building.
So that's what it looks like now, and then you've went ahead and done your due diligence and said, well, if we moved our campus out to the property that we want to acquire, the 20 acres or so, it would look something like that.
This, and we always are careful to caveat, these are conceptual site plans.
Site plans, yes. Things change.
Yes, things do change, but we wanted to make sure that it worked, that we fit on that site. So the bluish building there is kind of the administration and customer service and that piece, and then all the buildings in the back are different shop buildings. We have transformer shop, fleet shop, wire shop. We got lots of different trade groups out there. In fact, the lion's share of the development is really the operations and service center. The administration is a smaller portion of this.
And consolidating everything into one campus, to me, makes sense. It just makes sense. Everybody's together.
Absolutely. It's really how, when you look at the best way to serve whatever the mission you're trying to serve as a business or as a government agency, you look at what is the time waster. And so as we looked through this process, we asked tradespeople, we asked different people in the organization, what are the barriers to your day? What do you say, gosh, I wish I didn't have to do that because I could get out faster? And so that driving around town was a huge issue. We don't have a single place where we can keep all of our equipment for our line crews. So they have to go one place for a transformer and poles, and their trucks are another place, and their small parts are another place. And so all those things and consolidating those are huge. And obviously that's great for operations, but then when you get into the administrative piece, having access to the engineers, having access to the customer service representatives, and so the operations people having that cross-pollination that's always occurring is always really good for a business.
One of my best friends works in the fleet services department at the Chelan County PUD, and he says, it's hard to do they do incredibly good work to keep the fleet up and running. It's a big fleet. He goes, our little bitty garage behind the headquarters downtown, it ain't cutting it no more.
No,
it's hard to get our job done when you're working in that kind of a deal.
Yeah, it was really built for small vehicles, the size line trucks we have now, the size digger derricks and Vector trucks you see on the roads. That building was not built to maintain those.
Dennis, this old station property, is it a done deal? Is it going to happen?
No, it's not a done deal. That's something that we're going to be looking at tomorrow. But even if we agree to purchase it tomorrow, over the ensuing near future, should the decision be made that this is not the best interest of the ratepayers of Chelan County, we have an option in there in which we can sell the property back to the Port District, and I think that's the right term.
That's correct.
And so we still have that flexibility built in there, which is you don't often get in a real estate deal, but we have it in this one, and we think it's in our best interest to represent our ratepayers, in this way.
One last question before we got a couple of really busy guys here. One last question. Let's assume this whole thing comes together. The Chelan County PD, over the course of probably a decade, eventually moves out to the old station area with new buildings and new campus, which is desperately needed, all that good stuff. What happens to the downtown campus if that, in fact, comes true?
That's something that we've been concerned about for the entire process. We heard loudly when we started talking about coming up with a concept of consolidation, what happens to where you're at. And we want to make sure that that is not going to be an unknown. So we are actually engaged in a process with the Chamber of Commerce and the Wenatchee Downtown Association, and we have partnered with the City of Wenatchee and the Port to do what's called a redevelopment planning study. We actually had a meeting this morning about that exact process. So we want to see what could be on that site that's really complementary to downtown. We love our downtown, but what's it lacking? What's the next thing that's going to make it the next great thing? And so we think 5 acres on Wenatchee Avenue is a pretty good opportunity, and so we're trying to look at it as an opportunity. If we do move out of the area, we want to make sure that we're addressing that tail liability, as I call it. We want to make sure that we don't leave something that we're not proud of.
Dan Frazier is the Shared Services Director. We now know what that means. Of course, Dennis Bowles is the President of the Chelan County PUD Board of Commissioners. Get lots of rest on Sunday the 2nd because you're in for a big day on Monday the 3rd, gentlemen, all right?
Yeah,
right.
Monday's going to be a great day.
It'll be a great day.
It'll be a great day.
Thanks I know you're busy. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedules to come down and see us.
Thanks for having us in.
Appreciate it. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Live channel. We'll be right back. And we're right back. It's amazing, this technology thing. Real quickly, before we cut you loose and get you on your road on the Monday, here is your weather forecast for the week. Sunny and chilly is what we're looking at. 37 today is just about our normal high. Then clear skies at night means no heat, which means look at those afternoon high temperatures. Lots of sunshine with some patchy freezing fog, but High temperatures below freezing once we get to the middle of the week. Everybody have a great week. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.